Detectives shocked by extreme brutality. The case of Emily Peguero. The initial romance, the cherished boyfriend, the pregnancy, all seemed to be moving smoothly, painting a picture of a bright future. Yet, this love story took a sudden dark turn when the main character, Emily, disappeared without a trace. The young father, struggling to grasp how his fairy tale could end so abruptly, was left in despair. As details of Emily's disappearance unfolded, a wave of horror swept across the Dominican Republic. Known for its pristine beaches, luxurious resorts, and lush golf courses, the Dominican Republic found itself at the center of global conversations in 2017. The focus was not on its scenic beauty, but on its legal system, all because of one 16-year-old girl. Emily Delyn Peguero, known as Emily to her friends, was born on July 12, 2001, in Chinove, a small town just an hour's drive from Santo Domingo, the capital. The youngest child of Adalgisa and Gennaro, Emily was always the baby of the family, coddled and protected by her older siblings. Radiant with adorable dimples, Emily was not only pretty but also cheerful and caring. She harbored dreams of becoming a lawyer, driven by a desire to help those who couldn't afford legal representation. Coming from a low-income household herself, she aspired to offer pro bono services in the future. Emily's kindness was profound, and she was determined to make a positive impact in the world. The Peguero family lived in a modest house adorned with a sun-faded butterfly mural and shuttered windows. Despite the simplicity of their life and the myriad low-paying jobs her parents juggled, Emily's spirit remained unbroken. She excelled in her studies, was well-loved by her friends, and enjoyed performing stage makeup and costume acts for her family, bringing joy and laughter to their humble home. The financial struggles of Emily's parents seemed insignificant when they watched their youngest daughter dancing and laughing. Her joy brought them true happiness despite the hardships. Her mother and father went to great lengths to provide their children with love and attention, and they succeeded marvelously. Upon turning 15, Emily began dating Marlon Martinez, an 18-year-old who lived just across the street. Though their homes were close, their worlds were starkly different. The two had grown up together, starting as childhood friends and gradually developing a tender relationship. Marlon was born in the United States, but his family returned to the Dominican Republic when he was around 8 or 9 years old. They settled in a large, well-appointed house across from Emily's, reflecting their considerably wealthier financial status. Marlon's parents were well off. His mother and stepfather had sent him to a prestigious school outside their town. Marlon's mother, a significant political figure, had once served as the mayor of their province and now held a government position overseeing the issuance of visas and passports. She was deeply involved in many city campaigns and had extensive influential connections within the community. At the local level, Marlon wielded considerable influence. Rumors circulated that he had a hand in some questionable dealings concerning visa issuances, creating a network of indebted individuals. Protected by powerful patrons, he faced no repercussions. Marlon, by all accounts, was not the most likable individual. Emily's father, having once worked as Marlon's private security guard, knew his aggressive and short-tempered nature well. Marlon's mother, believing that wealth and power entitled her to treat others dismissively, behaved as if she were above everyone, convinced she could escape any consequence. Among the townspeople, Marlon's mother was secretly referred to as the devil due to her malicious demeanor. Friends, remember that over 90% of viewers watch videos without subscribing. Please check if you're subscribed, and if not, kindly support the channel by subscribing. Constantly immersed in politics and her career, Marlon's mother often required help managing her household, especially with her 3 sons, including Marlon. To circumvent the need for a nanny, she arranged for her neighbor, Emily's mother Adalgisa, to care for the children for a fee. Marlon would drop off his brothers at Emily's house and then attend to her business, trusting Adalgisa immensely with his siblings. The children from both families quickly bonded over shared playtimes, and sometimes the Martinez boys even stayed overnight. Despite the social disparities, the families grew close, treating each other almost like extended family due to the frequent visits. While they were young, the children played together often. As they aged, however, they saw each other less, only occasionally crossing paths. When Emily turned 15 and Marlon 18, they reconnected and began spending more time together, eventually dating. Many in the community were startled by their age difference, particularly because the legal age of consent in the Dominican Republic is 18, making Emily a minor. Her family was mainly concerned about the relationship because of Marlon's mother, who had recently quarreled with another neighbor over a trivial matter, further tarnishing her reputation on their street. Despite his mother's notoriety, Marlon was known as a friendly, regular guy. Adalgisa had played a significant role in his upbringing for years. Emily's father, aware of Marlon's disdain for those less affluent, disapproved of the relationship, but refrained from forbidding it. He chose not to confront his daughter to avoid a conflict, understanding that she was deeply in love. Genaro, Emily's father, was always uneasy due to his neighbor's volatile temperament. As 2017 approached, Emily was nearing her 16th birthday. Her relationship with Marlon continued to blossom, but in the spring, an unexpected twist changed everything. Emily felt unwell, but couldn't pinpoint the cause. Marlon, older and more experienced, suspected the reason right away. After several tests, their fears were confirmed. Emily was pregnant. The news stunned the young couple. In the Dominican Republic, a staunchly Catholic nation, abortion is illegal under any circumstances, classified as a criminal offense since 2012, with severe penalties for anyone involved, including medical personnel and supportive friends or relatives. Despite her youth and financial insecurities, Emily knew she had no choice but to proceed with the pregnancy. Fearing her parents' reaction, she hesitated, but eventually confided in her sister and mother. Genaro learned of his daughter's pregnancy 5 months later during an unexpected visit home for lunch. Upon entering the kitchen and noticing his wife's distressed expression, he pressed for an explanation. The revelation from Adalgisa that their youngest daughter was 5 months pregnant left him staggered. Clutching his head, Genaro exclaimed in dismay at the thought of his child having a child. Overwhelmed by the news, it took him half an hour to regain his composure. Resolved to support Emily, he promised to speak with the young couple, but asked for some time to digest this life-changing development. Tragically, Genaro only learned about his daughter's pregnancy 9 days before she vanished. There hadn't been enough time for a heartfelt father-daughter conversation about her situation. About a week later, Marlon's stepfather, Roberto, approached Genaro with a proposal to discuss the welfare of the upcoming child. Genaro, Roberto, and Marlon sat down for a candid discussion. Marlon reassured Emily's father of his intentions to take responsibility for both Emily and the baby. Roberto pledged his support to his stepson, which somewhat eased Genaro's worries. However, he struggled with the idea of his young daughter becoming a mother so soon. Genaro insisted that Emily and the baby should continue living at home with her family due to her age. He wasn't ready to let her move out, believing she should remain under his roof until she turned 18. Genaro loved his daughter deeply and was prepared to support her unconditionally. Marlon and Roberto seemed agreeable to this arrangement, but Marlon's mother, Marlon, was bitterly opposed. She viewed the pregnancy as a grave mistake that would disrupt her son's college education and future prospects. Moreover, she worried about her family's reputation, fearing the community gossip about the Martinez family becoming connected to a less affluent family. Despite her previous indifference to her son's relationship with Emily, the idea of them having a child together was intolerable to her. On the morning of August 23, 2017, 16-year-old Emily rose early and prepared to leave the house. When her mother inquired, Emily mentioned that Marlon had arranged a doctor's appointment to collect some test results. She assured her mother she would return shortly. Adalgisa watched from the front door as Emily climbed into her boyfriend's car, waving as they drove off. After her usual morning routines, preparing breakfast, tidying the house, and starting on lunch, Adalgisa realized that Emily had not yet returned home. This was unusual. Emily had promised to be back within an hour. Typically, if Emily was delayed, she would either call or send a message to her parents, always letting them know when she expected to be home. However, hours passed with no word from Emily, stirring concern in her mother. Then, around 11:30, Emily's sister received a text message. Emily wrote that Marlon had dropped her off at a gas station because she decided to meet her uncle. This message, rather than assuaging the family's fears, only deepened them. For one, Emily usually preferred voice messages over texts. Additionally, she had not mentioned any plans to meet an uncle earlier. The tone of the message also seemed uncharacteristic of Emily, raising further suspicions. Finding the situation increasingly suspicious, Adalgiza sent her elder daughter across the street to the Martinez residence to find out more. Upon arriving, she was greeted by Marlon, who explained that there had been a misunderstanding that morning on their way to the clinic. Emily realized she had mixed up the dates, and her test results wouldn't be ready until Friday. Instead of returning home, she asked to be dropped off at a gas station to meet her uncle, whom she had contacted last minute. Marlon claimed he complied with her request, dropped her off, gave her some money for emergencies, and watched as she got into a car he assumed belonged to her uncle. That was the last he saw of Emily. Distraught, Adalgiza and her older daughter rushed to the gas station to question employees and see if anyone had noticed where the car with Emily had gone. Upon arriving at the gas station, the women asked to review the surveillance footage. To their dismay, the camera revealed that neither Emily nor Marlon had been there that morning. This discrepancy raised doubts about Marlon's account. Either he had mistaken the location, or he was deliberately misleading them. Despite this, Marlon maintained that he had indeed dropped Emily off at the station. With Emily unresponsive to calls, Adalgiza swiftly contacted the police to report her pregnant, underage daughter missing. She, along with her other children, began distributing flyers featuring Emily's photo, desperate for any leads that might bring her home safely. Initially, the family did not suspect that Emily had been abducted by a stranger or that she had willingly run into trouble. Instead, their suspicions quickly turned towards Marlon, specifically his mother, also named Marlon. Adalgiza even told reporters she believed the Martinez family knew exactly where Emily was, but were withholding information. Complicating matters further, Genaro discovered a message from Marlon's mother on his daughter's phone, suggesting that she terminate the pregnancy. The influential Marlon's mother did not want a grandchild born out of wedlock, it seemed. These messages, dated just 4 days before Emily's disappearance, implied that Marlon's mother was pressing Emily to end her pregnancy at home, promising to ensure everything would be handled smoothly. At first, Emily had firmly refused, but worn down by persistent manipulation, she reluctantly agreed to trust the older, experienced woman. When Genaro revealed this conversation, the community's suspicions toward the Martinez family deepened. Alarmingly, as soon as Emily was officially declared missing, Marlon hastened to secure legal representation. Logically, hiring a lawyer when you have no involvement in a disappearance raises suspicions. When Emily did not return even after 24 hours, rumors about the case began to circulate, causing not only Emily's family, but also other townspeople to suspect the Martinez family of being involved in her disappearance. Genaro, deeply troubled by his daughter's fate, found himself haunted by thoughts of where and how she had spent that fateful August night. Was she safe, or was she in pain somewhere? Alone, he couldn't hold back his tears of despair, though in public, he maintained a strong facade, hiding his emotions to keep hope alive among those around him. As the community became increasingly aware of the pregnant girl's disappearance and the potential involvement of her boyfriend's family, Marlon and his mother decided to hold a press conference to dispel the rumors and assert their innocence. Leveraging her extensive connections, Marlon's mother, a former mayor, quickly arranged for several reporters to attend. The press conference was held in the Martinez family's living room. Emily's boyfriend, Marlon, appeared casual in a t-shirt, looking visibly nervous and shaky throughout the interview. His mother, on the other hand, was dressed formally in a suit, her hair styled impeccably, exuding confidence. She took the lead, drawing on her public speaking experience. Initially, the reporters directed their questions at her son, who repeated the same story. They were en route to the clinic. Emily realized the mistake about the date, and he left her at the gas station. Finally, Marlon faced the camera directly, pleading for Emily to come home and acknowledging that, like any couple, they had their problems. Despite the challenges, Marlon affirmed that their families had embraced the pregnancy and were looking forward to the baby's arrival. Addressing the camera directly and struggling to hold back tears, he called out to Emily Peguero, expressing his longing for her return and his readiness to welcome her with open arms. Following this emotional plea, his mother took over, vehemently denying all rumors linked to their family regarding Emily's disappearance. She asserted that on the morning Emily vanished, Marlon was accompanying Emily's grandmother to the consulate to handle some paperwork, using this as an alibi to demonstrate their closeness to Emily's family. Throughout the interview, Marlon's mother repeatedly emphasized their affection for Emily, declaring that she was as much a part of their family as anyone else, especially as she was carrying her grandson. With visible emotion, she looked into the camera, pleading with Emily not to prolong their agony, but to reveal her whereabouts. She even began to choke up during her plea. Marlon's mother then invited anyone with questions to come forward, asserting their willingness to give interviews and answer inquiries to prove their innocence. However, the press conference, orchestrated by Marlon's mother, only fueled more speculation and confusion among the community. Many found it odd that the Martinez family did not invite Emily's relatives to speak as well, suggesting that their actions might not align with their words. The town's residents grew more skeptical, convinced by the adage, "There's no smoke without fire." Given the swirling rumors of the Martinez's involvement in Emily's disappearance, public sentiment hardened against them. Notably, both mother and son referred to Emily in the past tense during the conference, an oversight that led many to believe they knew more about Emily's fate than they admitted. This detail intensified the public's suspicion, painting a picture of a powerful family possibly trying to erase a problematic link to preserve their status. Rather than quelling public doubt, the press conference only intensified scrutiny. Amid mounting suspicion, Marlon visited the Peguero household, where he saw the distress etched on his neighbors' faces. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he decided to turn himself in to the police, anticipating arrest and interrogation. On August 26, 2017, Marlon was indeed taken into custody as the prime suspect and held at a detention center. Yet, the overarching question of Emily Peguero's whereabouts remained unresolved. Detectives relentlessly pursued leads, and a significant breakthrough came 5 days post her disappearance. On Monday, August 28th, they traced the geolocation of Emily's phone to a prestigious apartment building in the San Francisco de Macorís district, specifically to an apartment frequented by Marlon Martinez. While his children lived with their stepfather Roberto in Chenove, their mother often stayed at this apartment during her business travels. A meticulous search of the apartment uncovered blood splatters on a mattress and several blood-stained towels, which were immediately sent for forensic analysis. Concurrently, the police interviewed potential witnesses. 2 days later, a security guard from the apartment building disclosed a chilling observation. On the day Emily vanished, he witnessed Marlon carrying a sizable bag from the building and loading it into his car through the surveillance system. Upon hearing this, he promptly informed Marlon's mother, who rushed to view the footage herself. Visibly agitated while watching, she soon became distraught, clutching her head and screaming. Shortly thereafter, the video inexplicably vanished. The guard speculated that it might have been deliberately erased, possibly by the Martinez family. This incident further fueled public outrage, particularly towards Marlon's mother, who many believed orchestrated Emily's disappearance using her wealth and influence to protect her son. As the allegations grew, Marlon showed up at the police station, surrendering himself to the authorities on the same day the missing video footage was reported. Marlon's lawyer claimed her surrender was to cooperate with the police, but the prevailing belief was that she was preempting her inevitable arrest. During the arrest, a reporter questioned her involvement in Emily Peguero's disappearance, to which Marlon responded that she was merely protecting her son, as any mother would. This admission resonated deeply, suggesting that she might have eliminated someone else's daughter, tragically, the girl who was to be her grandchild. The pieces of the puzzle began to fit together on August 30th, 2017, a day fraught with tension for the detectives. The day began with revelations about incriminating footage from a security guard, followed by Marlon's surrender to the authorities. Later, her son Marlon confessed to the police, confirming the Peguero family's darkest fears. Emily was no longer alive. He revealed that he had disposed of her body at a local dump, a declaration that devastated the community and extinguished any lingering hopes for Emily's survival. Driven by the boyfriend's confession, police accompanied Marlon to the dump in search of Emily's remains. Upon their arrival, a crowd of furious townspeople surrounded the patrol car, eager to confront the accused directly. The situation escalated quickly, prompting officers to fire warning shots to disperse the crowd. Due to safety concerns, Marlon remained in the vehicle as officers combed through the site for over 8 hours, ultimately finding nothing. The next morning, the community's anger boiled over. Residents of Chenov blocked roads, demanding Marlon reveal the true location of Emily's body. Protests intensified with tire burnings, stone throwing, and threats to demolish the Martinez residence, compelling police to intervene to maintain order. However, the community's fervent prayers were answered later that day when a body was discovered in Espaillat province, an hour's drive from Chenov. Emily's older brother received a flood of messages. News had spread that the body of an unidentified girl had been found in the neighboring province. The police, the Peguero family, and other relatives rushed to the scene. Arriving after sunset, the only light came from police vehicles and flashlights piercing the darkness. A crowd gathered by the roadside where, at the center, lay a suitcase containing the decomposing body of 16-year-old Emily Peguero, who was 5 months pregnant. The body was promptly removed from the suitcase and sent to the medical examiner for autopsy, which revealed internal bleeding, presumably from a botched attempt to terminate the pregnancy, and a blunt force trauma to the skull. The forensic report suggested that death was swift, likely leaving Emily with no time to comprehend her fate. The suspicions of the Peguero family and the public had been tragically confirmed. Marlon and his mother were driven by a desperate need to safeguard their reputation, even at the cost of Emily's life. The release of the autopsy results sparked widespread outrage. By then, the story of the missing girl had captured global attention, with images of her in a traditional red Dominican dress circulating across social media and drawing the support of celebrities, which helped to amplify the case. In response, Emily's family initiated the #WeAreAllEmily campaign, rallying support to ensure that the Martinez family's influence and wealth would not overshadow justice. The community rallied behind this cause, putting pressure on authorities to pursue a thorough investigation. As the virtual world buzzed with opinions and calls for justice, Emily's real-world farewell was marked by profound grief and solidarity. She was laid to rest in a white casket, surrounded by mourners holding pink balloons and bringing flowers and gifts to support the bereaved family. Meanwhile, police investigations revealed that Marlon had fabricated the story about taking Emily to the gas station that morning. Instead, he had sent a deceptive message from her phone to her sister, confirming Adalgisa's suspicions about its inauthenticity. Contrary to his claims, Marlon had taken Emily to his mother's vacant apartment, where he coerced her into consuming a substance intended to induce an abortion, leading to her fatal internal bleeding. In a moment of panic and possibly an attempt to escape or confront Marlon, she was met with fatal aggression. After the fatal incident, Marlon panicked. He placed Emily's body in a bag, exited his mother's apartment, and was caught by the apartment building's surveillance cameras as he loaded the grim cargo into his car. Desperate and unable to think clearly, he drove around town before ultimately discarding the bag containing his girlfriend's body off a bridge. Shortly after, Marlon called his mother, confiding in her about the dire situation and asking for her help to better conceal the body to delay its discovery. That same day, a security guard presented her with the video footage, leading her to realize the grave risk of her son facing incarceration. On the early morning of August 24th, Marlon, his mother, and 2 accomplices convened to devise a plan for Emily's remains. Frustrated with her son's mishandling of the situation, Marlon's mother orchestrated a more secluded disposal of the body. She enlisted an acquaintance, who moved the body from under the bridge into a suitcase, then abandoned it on a roadside an hour away from Chenov, hoping it would sever any links to Emily's disappearance. As this grim tale unfolds, remember the importance of your support. If you're captivated by this story, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In the ensuing police operation, Marlon's brother, a close friend, and 2 employees were also arrested. However, all 4 later testified as witnesses and, after a brief detention, were released as they were not directly implicated in the crime and cooperated with the investigation. Ultimately, only Marlon and his mother faced trial for their roles in Emily's death. The courtroom drama stretched over 9 months, marked by boycotts from the Peguero family, withdrawals by defense attorneys, and protests by local activists. The community's outrage was palpable, with threats against Marlon and his mother escalating to the point where Marlon required a bulletproof vest and protective helmet for court appearances. The situation reached a boiling point in April when Emily's father, Gennaro, was arrested for trying to bring a firearm into the courtroom, a testament to the profound grief and anger that the case had ignited in the hearts of Chanov's residents. The prosecution, in an effort to meticulously reconstruct the crime scene, introduced the suitcase in which Emily was found, along with her shoes and clothing. Due to the strong odor emanating from the evidence, the reconstruction was conducted outdoors in the parking lot. The prosecution team demonstrated the position of Emily's body within the suitcase and the process of its extraction, a scene painfully witnessed by the onlooking Peguero family. The ordeal compounded their grief, forcing them to endure the grim reality of their loss once more. Throughout the trial, Marlon's defense attorney maintained his client's innocence, arguing that Marlon had not intended to kill Emily that morning. However, Marlon's account of the events varied troublingly during the investigation. Initially, he admitted to causing Emily's death and disposing of her body at the dump. Later, he shifted his story, claiming Emily had taken a pill by herself due to distress over her pregnancy, which he said led to her death. In a third account, he insisted that his mother was completely unaware of the incident and had no involvement in Emily's demise. These inconsistent narratives severely damaged Marlon's credibility. The Peguero family's attorney contended that Marlon, following a failed attempt to induce an abortion, chose to make Emily disappear rather than risk taking her to a hospital and facing legal consequences. He had not foreseen her body being discovered, nor the community's vehement response. The family's lawyer was particularly outspoken against the Martinez family, unswayed by Marlon's influential connections. His assertive demeanor resonated with the public and garnered considerable support. Adalgisa, more than anyone, felt a profound betrayal. She had once nurtured Marlon and his brothers as her own, feeding them, tucking them into bed, and caring for them while their mother pursued her career ambitions. Now, tragically, one of these boys she had cared for was responsible for her youngest daughter's death. This cruel twist of fate was perceived by Emily's family as a stark betrayal, especially poignant because they believed Marlon opposed his son having a child with someone from a less affluent background. Emily's tragic death was a consequence of a botched intervention, a harsh reality that could not justify her being discarded like refuse on the roadside. The trial that followed was protracted and fraught with tension. In November 2018, after intense deliberations, a panel of 3 judges convicted Marlon Martinez of intentionally taking Emily Peguero's life, sentencing him to 30 years in prison. His mother, Marlon Martinez, faced charges of abduction and concealment of the body and received a seemingly lenient 5-year sentence. The courtroom erupted in shouts of disbelief and anger when the verdict was announced. Many felt the punishment failed to match the gravity of her actions. The public outcry was immediate, with protests calling for a harsher penalty of at least 20 years. Despite the uproar, the court's decision stood firm. Marlon's attorney announced plans to appeal, arguing that his client had merely intended for Emily to terminate the pregnancy, not to cause her death, a plan that tragically misfired. Additionally, the Martinez family was ordered to pay monetary compensation to the Peguero family, though no amount of money could compensate for the loss of their daughter. The Peguero family's quest for justice felt unfulfilled when another blow came on May 15, 2019. An appeals court dramatically reduced Marlon's sentence to just 2 years, citing insufficient evidence to prove active participation in a crime by his mother, who was accused only of failing to report her son's actions. In September 2020, the legal tides turned once more when a judge ordered the immediate release of Marlon Martinez, possibly influenced by her connections. Upon her release, she was met with a barrage of insults from a crowd outside the prison. Despite the controversies, she now lives quietly in the United States. Meanwhile, her son Marlon remains incarcerated, reportedly enjoying certain privileges. Rumors have since surfaced about another tragic cycle repeating, with a new 16-year-old girl reportedly pregnant by him. It seems that guards sometimes let Marlon leave prison and then come back. This situation doesn't feel like justice has been served. Emily's father, Chenaro, recalls how he used to say goodbye to his daughter every morning before work, kissing her forehead in her room. This daily ritual is now a painful memory for him. In memory of his sister, Emily's brother created a 4-minute song about what happened to her. The music video shows him watching Marlon pretend to cry at a press conference on TV, then standing up and smashing the television. Emily's room is still just as she left it. There are red paper hearts on the headboard, and neon pink curtains on the window. Her bedside table holds handmade bracelets, a small statue of Jesus, and a photo of the Pope. Her clothes and stuffed animals are still in the closet. The only new addition is a collage of photos and messages from Emily's schoolmates. Latin America has one of the highest rates of femicide in the world. Each year, about 200 crimes against women are reported in the Dominican Republic, but the real number is likely much higher. During the search for Emily's body, police found two other young women who had been killed. One was killed by her stepfather and the other by her boyfriend. Emily's case, involving a government official and marked by its brutality, shocked the entire country. This is where the story ends. Like this video if you found it moving, and share your thoughts in the comments. This is Jeremy, and I'll see you soon.